You couldn't have been surprised by the passion of your NCAA constituency compared to being a governor, were you?
A little.
1 year ago, then Governor Charlie Baker was still navigating the state of Massachusetts through the uncharted waters of a pandemic. Today, he's at the helm of the NCAA, where the waters, in many ways, are just as choppy. A former high school basketball star, Baker's still got a jump shot sharp enough to dominate a game of horse.
Boom!
Horse, a relevant skill given the Wild West nature of the NCAA today, with some schools, and now some athletes too, finding new ways to rake in millions of dollars.
I mean, it really is, in that respect, very Wild Westish. And part of what we're trying to get Congress to do is to help us create kind of one playing field with the same set of rules across all 50 states.
One of his first actions as NCAA president asked Congress to regulate the 117-year-old institution, with a grim warning if action isn't taken.
Literally, thousands of your interscholastic athletic programs will go away.
Ever since the Supreme Court upended NCAA's amateurism rules in 2021, opening the door for athletes to profit off their name, image, and likeness, NIL for short, college sports have been governed not by one set of rules, but by dozens of them, passed quickly by dozens of state legislatures. Add in the transfer portal, where schools can basically now snag star players away from other schools, and Baker says the only way to protect student athletes and college athletics as we know it is with new national guardrails.
You don't want to limit compensation for athletes?
No, absolutely not. I don't want to limit compensation at all. In fact, I think NIL is terrific. What I worry about is people using the framework without any transparency, accountability, or rulemaking to take advantage of student athletes and their families.
But Baker has pushed back on one issue of compensation, a lawsuit attempting to classify student athletes as employees of a university, meaning wages for all of the hours they put into their sports. But Baker says that could bankrupt a majority of the NCAA's 1,100 athletic departments, which already lose money and can't take on millions in new salaries. While the big football schools like Ohio State or Alabama are working with annual athletic budgets north of $200 million, most NCAA schools have budgets closer to $7 million.
What happens if you don't get that congressional action?
Well, we're going to try and put a lot of those policies in place to the extent we can through rulemaking.
But there's a real challenge there. Rules passed by the NCAA may not stand up to the scrutiny of state courts. The organization has begun writing new rules for schools that will provide student athletes with expanded health care, mental health services, scholarship protections, and continued access to the classroom after their playing days are over. But the one issue that keeps Baker up at night,
I worry about the sports betting thing, because that's where I think we have a challenge that is not fully understood.
NCAA research found 2 out of 3 students on college campuses have placed sports bets, and Baker's concerned about their potential influence on the athletes at the center of the action. He wants to work with the gambling apps to monitor campus betting.
We can and should do and will do a lot of surveillance over unusual movements on betting and that type of thing.
Baker says there's a lot to play catch-up on, but he's got a knack for making the difficult look easy, winning the governor's mansion twice as a Republican in notoriously liberal Massachusetts. Not to mention the occasional long shot from way beyond the arc.
Bang! All right, now go fix NIL.
Yeah.
Governor better be sending you a thank you card, Noah, that you got that on tape, that shot, and that your team actually captured it. So listen, thank you for being with us. You talk about in that interview the potential for Congress to regulate the NCAA, that's what he's calling for. Is that actually going to happen? What are the chances it does?
NIL, almost nil, Hallie. My sources on the Hill say there's a real appetite to get something done on both the left and the right. But how to do it is the problem. Democrats in particular really want, they're paying attention to this worker protection issue. It's less popular on the Republican side. So they've had dozens of meetings and hearings over the last few years. No progress. But, of course, that shouldn't be a surprise to anyone watching Washington right now, right? They've got some bigger fish on their plate first.
Yeah, that is for sure. There's also this question for the NCAA, as it has plenty of big fish to fry itself, of the relevancy right now in this sort of new era for them. There's even some speculation about the potential for these big football powerhouses breaking away from the NCAA together. What is the governor's level of concern about that?
He downplayed the possibility of football breaking away. He did acknowledge that sports is a huge business in college right now, and he does expect that the conference realignment, maybe more conference collapses, could continue. So the Big Ten could become the Big 20 or the Big 24 someday. We're not there yet, but he does expect it to continue to go down that road, which really just highlights the importance of passing new rules to address this before it gets out of hand.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.